Box Wine Special. We're back. We had to come back really quickly because after Courtney submitted her picks for my review, she was trying to sort the contestants out into who was going to be on the David tribe and who was going to be on the Goliath tribe initially for the first split. And I was even encouraging her. I thought she had made some pretty decent picks.
Yeah, you were like, you're spot on for most of them.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought you had made some well thought out picks. And so after the last episode, we decided to go and watch the trailer essentially for the next season that they showed us at the season finale of season 36 to get us hyped about the David and Goliath season. And we thought that by watching that, we'd be able to see some of Courtney's mistakes. What's amazing is not only did we see some of Courtney's mistakes, we have now been able to figure out exactly who's on which tribe just through that 3-minute trailer, because there's a few shots of people in their buffs, there's a couple shots of the whole tribes on boats arriving to the island, and there's a few testimonials that make it really easy for us to figure out who is on which tribe. And it was very interesting.
It was very interesting.
Do you want to take over? Let the people know what we discovered.
Well, sadly, I realized that I was 50% right. 50%. I only placed 10 people correctly, which is very sad. But also, I placed more girls correctly than guys. I came into that last episode saying guys are really easy, bing, bang, boom, got it done. Girls, I kept flipping back and forth. Well, it turns out that I didn't know the guys at all, and I got a lot of them wrong. And yeah, overall, 50%. I got, out of the 10 I got correct, 6 of those were girls, and 4 of those were guys.
Tell everyone about, the most surprising revelations. The ones that we were, 100% sure of, and then all of a sudden we watched that video and we're like, holy shit, we were way off on that.
Yeah. Well, for the girls, was B. Because B was an immediate put her in the Goliath. She's an MMA fighter. She's going to be a strong competitor physically. So I put her in Goliath immediately. She was probably the first person I did. And she's actually a David. So that was a big surprise. And then on the guys, Mike Schneebly. Actually, it wasn't that big of a surprise.
His name's not Mike Schneebly. His name's Mike White. His name's Mike White and his character's Ned Schneebly. Mike White is actually considered a Goliath in the show.
And I'm not, to be honest, I wasn't that surprised, as I did say to Al.
We've talked about that.
Yeah, I thought maybe
he's
successful, so maybe he'd be a Goliath, but I did put him on the Davids. I think Pat was probably the biggest surprise. Pat was the one that didn't have an occupation listed, but just taking a look at his picture, you're like, this is a big, thick, muscular guy.
He looks like an NFL player.
Yeah. But no, he's a David. So I think the biggest surprises were Pat and B. Yeah. Who else? Anyone else that you were pretty surprised by?
You put Alec Merlino just because of his look and his age, I think, and his occupation. I think you put him as a David.
Yeah.
And he's considered a Goliath.
And I thought Davey Rickenbacker.
We were really stuck on the idea that a guy's physicality determines whether or not he's a David or a Goliath. And that was really turned on its head in a couple instances.
Yeah.
So do you have the list of we can do a full kind of team announcement here are you finishing up your list?
I'm just finishing it up.
So if you want to know who's going to be a David and who's going to be a Goliath, you can go back to that Inside Survivor site and look at the headshots, because just by this wasn't immediately apparent. We watched the video once through, and then we went through it again, pausing it at certain moments, using process of elimination to figure out who was going to be on what team. Mm-hmm. But I think we now know almost with 100% certainty.
Oh, we do. I mean, there might be
who's going to be a David and who's going to be a Goliath.
Yeah, there might be a couple mix-ups in case, because some of them look similar and they're kind of blurry, so you can't really see who's who. But
I think we got it.
I think we're 99% right. Okay, so for the girls, The girls that are on the David team are Gabriella, Larissa, if that's how you pronounce her name, Jessica, B, and Elizabeth.
Yeah, Elizabeth Olsen.
Elizabeth Olsen.
That's the one. That's one of the ones I told you last episode that I knew you had gotten wrong.
Yeah, because you had seen her on the David boat.
And who are the David men?
The David men are Christian, Nick, Pat, Davey, and Carl.
Carl Boudreau.
So that's the David team. And then the Goliath girls are Natalie, Kara, Angelina, Allison, Natalia. And the guys are John, Daniel.
Not
Alec.
John.
Oh, Johnny Nitros.
Johnny Mundo, mayor of Slamtown.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Daniel, Alec, Jeremy, and Ned Schneebly.
Mike Schneebly. Mike White. Mike Schneebly White.
Yeah. So there you go.
You must be... So, all in all, out of the 20... So Courtney tried to sort the 20 people into tribes.
Yeah.
If this were a school situation, she would have scored 50% on her test, which is technically a pass, but you're not bragging about it, and you're not taking it home for mom and dad to look at.
No, definitely not.
Right?
I'm surprised.
Pretty poor performance on that end. But the ones you did get right were like Johnny Mundo, obviously a Goliath.
Yeah.
Jessica, the 19-year-old. I can't imagine considering like a teenager, a Goliath on Survivor when you're competing against like someone who might be double your age.
Yeah.
That alone would put you in kind of like an underdog situation.
Yeah. I think that I was surprised by the guys.
Yeah.
I think I was really stuck on how physical they looked.
Because that's the story, right?
Yeah.
You can't be faulted for that because the story of David and Goliath is two men fighting, and one of the men is huge and the other one is like a boy.
Yeah.
So because if they're theming the season that way, it makes sense that you'd be like, that's what we're looking for. Yeah.
And what you can't see in a picture and an occupation is their life story. And when you watch the preview, it's really clear that that's what it's based on. Like people talk about, I grew up in a trailer park and I was poor and I had to fight for everything, so I'm an underdog, versus
someone being like, I got to go to Stanford.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got my MBA. I'm in like, I make a lot of money now.
Yeah, I've had like a charmed life. Everything's worked out for me.
Yeah, so their narrative is more important than physically. But that's kind of what we were going on anyways. We didn't have a lot of information.
No. It was interesting.
I'm really glad we did this.
Me too.
I was very surprised when we just did that sleuthing to see the results.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just pumped me up even more.
You know what it's done, actually, is like, now, before the show has even started, I already, in my mind, know all 20 contestants.
Yeah.
Like, I already know them without... You could, like, bring one up and we could have a short conversation about
We could.
them.
Al already has some favorites.
Carl Boudreau, I don't know if he's going to last very long, but I love Carl Boudreau. In the trailer, he's wearing, like, a pink button-up shirt, full jeans, because he's, like, a cowboy, and he's got his cowboy hat, obviously. Like, you don't go anywhere without your hat if you're a cowboy.
Yep.
But I'm excited.
Al also really liked Christian.
Oh, man. But we knew that. We knew that he was going to be... He's like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, and
he's like the biggest dork.
Exactly, but it's also amazing when you're this underdog, even if it's not even looking at David and Goliath season, even in previous seasons, when you have this underdog who's super smart and super strategic, they make it interesting because everybody underestimates what they're capable of. And then you're like, no, I actually really know this game well, and I'm smart enough to read what you're thinking. So we knew we'd like him.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
There you have it. Those are the teams.
Get ready. David versus Goliath.